Welcome back, everybody. Today I am back working on the C4 Corvette. Just got done finishing rebuilding the front suspension, the bushings and the ball joints. And since it's still jacked up, there's one thing that I want to get to still. It's kind of been bothering me on the back of my mind. So I installed the vet-to-vet chassis support bars, I don't know, maybe a year ago or something like that, which is great and I love it. So the ones that I have are for, I believe, 87 to 96, because that's when they started the convertible and they are a direct bolt up. There's parts in the frame where the brackets can bolt to. So you essentially just bolt everything right up, tighten them down, and you're good to go. So if you have an early car, like this is an 85, I ended up modifying them to work on my car. I extended the front bracket essentially like 4 inches or so to accommodate for the bar being too short, and then I used rib nuts to put in the frame and bolted it right up, which works perfectly. But one little thing that I ran into since I have them all tightened down is that I think I made that bracket just a little too long, maybe a ½ inch to an inch long. I have to measure it still, but because I have the bars tightened all the way, they're essentially bottomed out on the heim joint. So usually there's a nut that locks it in place. That's all the way against the actual round part of the heim joint, and the bars tightened all the way to that. And I think I can still tighten them some more. I tightened them down originally, drove the car for a little bit, but I feel like they can be tightened a lot more. But because there was no real like frame of reference to make that, and I kind of guessed the amount of threads that should be exposed on either side, I feel like maybe I just shorted myself a little bit. But if you have the 87 and up, you're fine. There's nothing to even worry about. But since I had to find the location where I wanted to put that bracket, I kind of had to just guess where, you know, the rod was going to get the full effect of them. Although it did make a big difference, and it was definitely one of the best things that I did. It really changed the way the car handles, which I'm really happy with. I think it's an awesome product, and supposedly they're going to be making them for the early style cars, but we'll see. Essentially all they need is just a longer rod, and then you just have to drill and put thread certs into the frame, which isn't a big deal at all. I do have a video on that, the whole process of me modifying everything and putting it into the car. But since it's jacked up now, I just want to address that. It's kind of been on the back of my mind. So my plan is to measure it as it is, so I have, you know, kind of a reference of how long it is as it is already tightened down. And then at that point, I'm gonna just, you know, loosen them up, take the front brackets off, and then do some math, and then probably just cut them down, drill some new holes, and then get it back in the car, and then crank it all the way down and hope I don't bust the windshield out. No, I'm just joking. I don't think that can happen, but it might. But anyway, I just want to be able to get them as tight as possible, so it really improves the car, and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. So let's take some measurements and get these things out.
This week's video is brought to you by atlasbone.com. Shop our site for Corvette performance parts, merchandise, and much more. See the link in the description or visit atlasbone.com.
All right, so I'm just going to start at the head of the bolt here. I did put a center line mark in there just to help me be a little bit more accurate. Okay, so I'll just do the other side real quick, and then I'm just going to start loosening these things up.
So just to give you a better idea, as you can see, the nut is just right up against the head of the heim joint here. So typically you want threads sticking out of here. So that's why I'm like, oh, I need to make this shorter so this can come out longer and give me more threads to tighten this down with. So right now it's completely bottomed out with the nut on there and hitting that too. So I'm just going to back these all out just to take all the tension off, and then I'll unbolt the front brackets. Okay, after doing some calculating here, I am going to move that hole up 1.5 inches. This way, like this. So it'll put me right about there. So I'm essentially just going to drill this size hole all the way through here and then cut this off and metal finish that. And then that'll give me enough thread on either ends to be able to put it in here and tighten this down correctly and not bottom out there. So now I'm going to just unbolt these. I think they're like 16mm head bolts I used on there. Take the 4 of those out and then make some markings on this piece here.
Stupid drill battery. And there she is. And the good news is none of my thread serves pulled out. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and do a little bit of measuring here. Move this over 1.5 inches. As you can see, it's like that. So I'll drill my holes and then I'll cut this down, make it fancy. Doing these both at the same time. Make it a little easier. Passenger side. While I'm here, let me show you what I did on my new paint job. I don't know if you can see it, but I used a breaker bar, breaking the brake caliper bolts loose when I had this all apart, grinded it right down there, so that hurt. Always the first chip that hurts the most. All right, 1 hole down, 3 more to go. Probably another 6 hours I'll be done drilling, but it's getting there. Okay, got all my holes drilled. I have the top part there marked where I'm gonna cut off the excess. So the front will come off here and I'll metal finish the edges, and then I'll probably throw a coat of paint on these because overspray and they're all kind of chewed up a little bit. Okay, shortened, painted, ready to go back on the car. So before I actually tighten this thing down, I am going to put this back into place here, just because this kind of moves around a little bit, so I just want to make sure it's straight here before I snug that down. So I'm going to throw the passenger side one in real quick, get this all kind of connected before I start tightening them down. So the big question is there anybody else out there with like an 84, 85 that did this? If so, comment below, let me know what you think. Let me know if you had any issues with thread certs, or your bracket and stuff like that, because I think a lot of people are putting these on that have the 87 and up cars just because it's such a simple upgrade to do because it bolts right up, not having to do everything twice like me. Okay, now I got both sides back on, everything's tightened down. I have a piece of tape right here on one side, and I'm going to mark how many times I do a full revolution, and I'm going to do it equally on both sides. So I'll do probably 2 here, go over 2 there, and then 1, 1, and then I'll mark them every time I go around. So I'm equally tightening it down as I'm turning them. So I know exactly, you know, if I went 10 times here or 10 times there, just so it's equal. That's what I did the first time and it worked out well. So I'm going to start now, tighten this bad boy down. 1-inch wrench. I'll do 1 there to start. Mark it 1. Do the other side. Mark that. And on and on and on until they're really tight. You really want to crank down on these things. Okay, so I just finished up. I got that tightened down pretty good. I'm just gonna drive around for a little bit, then I'll probably retighten it eventually down the line since I did have it apart. But other than that, I think I kind of overshot it a little bit. I think 1 inch is the magic number there to shorten it. So originally when I made the first videos of making the bracket, I said 4 inches was the difference in the center line for the hole, and now it's actually 3 inches. 3 inches will give you more than enough room for adjustment all the way down, and you'll have extra threads showing past the nut on the heim joint. So very Right now I have a little bit more, so I could have definitely done 1 inch, but I just wanted to make sure. So now I have plenty of room if I need to drive for a little bit, tighten it down. I have plenty of thread to tighten it down, which is way better than where it was before, where it's bottomed out all the way. So 3 inches, if you buy the kit, is the difference that you need to make up for either a longer bar or 3 inches added on to that bracket. And just when you're setting that up, you got to make sure you have enough thread hanging out of the heim joint, so when you tighten it down, unfortunately I don't really have like a number available for that information, but if you have any questions about it, like I said, hit me up on Instagram, or you could email me through atwusbone.com if you're going to do the same thing to your early C4. So if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Thanks for watching.